But I used nature. I used flowers and fruit to make my own food dye, and I just did it that way.
Wow.
I know, right? When she told me that, I was like,
I don't know how to do that.
You're actually amazing.
So I got flowers of the colors that I needed, and so I dried them out in the oven. And then like I ground them up.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, and made like
Like
basically
one of the
a powder.
like a medicine
Yeah,
thing?
except like
Yeah.
they don't have that, so I had to go outside and get some rocks. And
Oh
I did it
my
like on like
Caveman style.
oh like
For
I
real.
was like, who is somebody taping me? Where am I?
Somebody should have been like filming you.
Somebody take me by surprise. Somebody open up.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
We are.
the Youngs.
Yep. And we have a guest today.
Hi.
Who the heck are you?
Who the heck are you?
I'm Lindsay, and I own Cake House Design.
Awesome. And for those who don't know what Cake House Design is, what is that?
So we are a bakery local to St. Louis, and I opened when I was 21. And we service all St. Louis with weddings and birthdays and showers and all cakes and sweets. We have a full service bakery, so you can come in and buy sweets.
Yeah.
And, do all the things.
Oh my gosh. And you guys are immensely talented.
Delicious.
Like, so good.
We have a big team of talented people. That is
Yeah.
for sure. I can't do it myself.
You're absolutely killing it. You just got a storefront, right?
Oh, yeah.
So-
Just had an open house.
So we have had a storefront for 6 years, but we just expanded to our bigger space.
Yeah.
So we have just moved into almost double. Like our kitchen is the size of our old space, which
Oh my gosh.
is absolutely insane. We have so much room.
Yeah.
It's
That's
so good.
awesome.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
Like 10.
That's
I
a
think.
lot.
Something like that.
Yeah. Girl, you're killing it.
We gotta start growing though. We gotta get more people in so we can make some more things.
Guys,
Start growing. You're already grown.
Yeah.
Lindsay's
We're
a
ready
boss.
for next growth.
Next up.
such a boss. That's amazing. So you are also just in Paris.
Yes.
The
I was
business
just
is
in
taking
Paris.
you to
Were
amazing
you in
places.
Paris for work or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in there for
That's
work.
cool.
Yes. So I was with Style Shoot Across America team. So
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Heather Bench is incredible. So if you don't follow her, you should do it. Shameless plug. I've actually worked with her a couple of times in St. Louis, and then I've went to Chicago with her,
Yeah.
and then my fiance and I modeled with her Chicago, did cakes, and then she took me to Paris, and
That's
we
amazing.
we were in the French Duke's chateau for a week and
That's
made
God.
cakes in his little cottage, and
Oh my gosh.
it was an incredible experience.
Was it your first time in Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like only out of country has been like Mexico.
Same.
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 Yep, basically.
Yeah, like Paris is my dream. Oh my God.
It
That's
was-
amazing.
Paris was your
Well,
dream?
yeah.
Italy's your dream.
Well, just Italy in general.
Yeah.
But,
Paris and Italy are not the same.
Definitely not the same.
well, I know, but like,
So which is your dream?
they're both. Like, they're both.
Italy
I
is
don't know.
definitely like
Lake
that's-
Como is like,
Yeah.
that's it for
we
me.
had a lot of people go to Lake Como afterwards and just like do shoots
Yeah.
there, and it was
Why wouldn't you?
It
You're
was
close
insane.
enough.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were so close. People just drove like 5
Relative
hours.
to where we are here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Really.
really gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was so cool. We were outside of Paris, so like 20 minutes. So
Okay.
we would drive into Paris, and it was very different. It
Yeah.
was very, very different.
I'm sure.
But it was
Off
really
topic
cool.
question. Were you driving
No.
at all?
Oh my gosh, no.
'Cause
So we
I
went
want to
to
know. I want to know like the mind f
Oh
that
my
it is
gosh.
to
I
all of a sudden
couldn't.
drive on the other side of the street on the other side of the car.
So Paris is like one of the most Americanized though parts of that country. They drive on the same side of the street that we do,
Oh.
and their
Oh.
steering wheels are normal.
Interesting.
So
I didn't know that.
That part was very interesting. Traffic though was absolutely insane.
I've heard it's like people are like on your butt.
blinkers are not a thing.
Yeah.
It's horns instead. They just like honk and then cut you off.
So worse than New York City.
Oh, it was literally like
Because New York is kind of like that, except they do use
Yeah.
the blinker, but it's not really like
It's as
like
they're
there's
turning.
like
It's
no
as
point.
they're turning.
Yeah.
yeah. We also like like that little arc thing. So like basically
Mm-hmm.
it's a roundabout. And it's like 6 lanes deep, but there's like no lines, and people are just like.
Just
Swerving.
find a
It's
spot.
It's literally like Mario Kart.
Oh,
It was
no.
the and like we had like
That
two
would give me so
massive
much
vans,
anxiety.
and I'm like, how is this a thing right now? Like, I was scared. I'm
You're
like,
like,
literally.
well, I hope I don't die.
It's like when there's snow all over the road here and you just kind of make a lane.
yes, that was
Oh,
literally that.
gosh.
We had like people like we sit at a stoplight and they would like rip out of a person out of their car and like beat each other up because somebody cut them off, and then they just move on with their day.
Wait, seriously?
Yes, it was weird as heck.
You know what?
Oh my
That's-
gosh, just pure entertainment the whole time.
It was.
The
very
fact that
entertaining.
they just like deal with it and then move on.
literally, yeah.
That's
a
I
cop
mean,
was there. He was just watching, and then they just went on.
Oh
in
my
the U.S. that would
gosh.
never end
That's
that
called
way.
anger problems.
That would never
I mean, they
end
got
that
it
way
out,
here.
I guess. Like, all right, get him out of the car.
Get your release.
Slap him around a little bit. All right, I'm good now. Let's go
Did
back to
anybody
work.
pull out their glove and say,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
that, I shouldn't say that.
It was weird. It was a very, very weird
That is so
time.
weird. So what was it? We kind of talked about this like at our last event together,
Yeah.
but for the people listening, because I thought that this was so interesting. I'm like, did you take stuff with you to Paris to make cakes, or like, what does that look like?
So they were all like styrofoam cakes because it was a photo shoot. So
Yeah.
they're not like real, like I'm not baking
So
cakes.
you're not like in a chef hat, like just baking
Oh
in
my
Paris?
gosh, no.
She baked on the plane. She baked on the...
But I was definitely
nonstop.
Googling like TSA, what can I bring and
Yeah.
what can I not bring. So I actually shipped all my styrofoam there. So Amazon can
Yeah.
ship to Paris. So
Yeah.
I Amazoned all my like styrofoam to our contact there in Paris, and then everything else I brought with me in my suitcase. Like literally everything.
Like
Like all your
Icing
baking
and-
ingredients and stuff.
My icing, 60 pounds of icing, and
Jesus.
everything except for the most important things I forgot. So like the night before we were packing, and like Nick was like helping me wrap stuff in bubble wrap and like saran wrap and just making sure everything was packed. I forgot my spatulas and my food dye. And I was like, oh my God, what is going to happen? And
Yeah.
Heather's like, it's fine. All the cakes can be white. I'm like, I did not come to Paris to make 6 white wedding cakes. Like,
Right.
you'll find me dead before I do that.
Which, side note,
What
we're
do I-
kind of talking about that today.
What did I say? What do I say every time we leave town and we're
What?
packing? We're,
Oh, we're not going to a foreign country.
we're not
That's
going
right.
to a third world country.
Third world
Yeah.
country.
And I mean, I
Except-
guess as a baker, I guess there could be worse places to forget things.
It could be.
Because I mean, Paris, I feel like you're be able to find baking supplies if you need to, just about
yes.
anywhere.
Oh, I did my research. Like, I looked at where we were staying, and I
Yeah.
tried to find like bakeries like nearby in case anything just went awry.
Can I borrow that?
Yeah, I literally looked at everything.
Yeah.
But it was so weird. All the grocery stores close at noon on Sundays. Nobody told us
Whoa.
that, so that was
Yeah.
really weird. But I used nature. I used flowers and fruit to make my own food dye, and I just did it that way.
Wow.
I know, right? When she told me that, I was like,
I don't know how to do that.
You're actually amazing.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can't. Like, I had all my sketches of exactly what I was doing. I'm like, I'm not steering away from this. I can make some
Yeah.
adjustments, but it's going to be still
So,
what it needs to be.
Did you go to culinary school?
No, I dropped out of college. I was going to be a nurse.
Wow.
Story of like most people.
Most
I feel like everybody in
entrepreneurs.
this industry did
Yeah.
something, had some other plan.
Okay, we need to get into our topic, but this is just so interesting to me. Lindsay, break that down for me. Like, were you
part?
outside like picking flowers and like grinding them up, or like what did that look like?
So I was like in our cottage, like when I discovered that I forgot those important things. So I
Yeah.
went to the chateau. It was like a couple, like 2-minute walk. All the florists were there, like going through all their flowers, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna start sealing some flowers. So I got flowers of the colors that I needed, and so I dried them out in the oven, and
Okay.
then like I ground them up. I don't
Yeah.
know what that is, and made like
Like one of
basically
the
a powder.
like a medicine
Yeah,
thing?
except like
Yeah.
they don't have that, so I had to go outside and get some rocks. And
Oh
I did
my
it like on like
Caveman style.
oh like
For
I
real.
was like, who is somebody taping me? Where am I?
Somebody should have been like filming you.
So I was just like grabbing random flowers, and I took a paper plate and some rocks, and I just
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Was it like vibrant? Did it work?
so I did a yellow cake,
Yeah.
and I did a pink one, and I did a purple one, and then I did like a coral one, and then I did like blueberries and raspberries because I made a purple cake.
Yeah.
And I had raspberries, so a pink one. Yeah, I mean like they were pastel, which was actually perfect because of where we were and the flowers, but like you could visibly tell that
Are
it
there
was those
pictures
co-
of these cakes yet?
Oh, absolutely.
I need to see it.
Yeah.
I need
I'll
to
show
see
you.
it. Oh my God.
They
That's
did turn out good.
amazing.
I don't think anybody would know.
So like, you said there are more pastels. Would you just need to do more to make them more vibrant?
I
then?
think if I actually had like a mortar and pestle, but I could also like dry them out in a longer process because like obviously I had to rush it. Like normally like you would dry out the flowers for a couple days and
Yeah.
like actually let that, but like I dry them out in the oven for like 20 minutes and then I'm like I don't really have.
So this is
3
something you
days.
already knew how to do.
No, I literally just Googled it.
Okay.
It was just the
Wow.
idea, and I'm like,
She's amazing.
I'm like, I think I can figure this out.
That's amazing.
That's what we did.
Google.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good thing
And
there
then
was
winged it from
internet.
there.
I'd have been like, well, got white cakes. I
No.
don't know what to tell you.
Not happening. Not here.
That's amazing.
It's ironic because this is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Speaking
Yeah.
of white cakes,
They're boring. Stop doing it.
they are a little boring. Yeah.
I know I don't know why people just like feel like yes I know like white is a wedding color but also like
Do you think it's a traditional thing?
I don't really know. I mean, yes, it's a traditional
Yeah.
thing. Like back in like the 90s or like early 2000s, like it was just white cakes or like the
Yeah.
super vintage piping that is weirdly coming back, that I'm already over. But it's okay. We'll still do them for a couple more years. I think it is just like a tradition. Like people don't really realize how much a bakery can do. Like they just see this and then they continuously see it. And so like people are so visual, especially like when they're coming to their planning their wedding. I'm like, they're immediately going to Pinterest and like that's what they're picking from.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's as far as their knowledge is kind of going
Right.
because that's all they see. Or their friend's wedding who planned it off of Pinterest and that's all they had.
So what does it look like with a process with a bride coming to you that's showing you? I assume that they bring you inspo photos and you have a meeting with them about it.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Do they tell you like the theme and like everything like that? Like what's your process look like with that?
So we asked them to kind of send us their full storyboard so that way we can see every aspect of the wedding. Like I love to encompass everything. Like I think it's so important that when you look at every aspect of a wedding, from the cake to the flowers to the menus, like
It tells a story.
It tells a story. Not only like it makes you look at everything knowing that all of your vendors coordinated together, even if they didn't.
Yeah.
Like they worked together on planning this whole thing. Like I've been to several styled shoots where like, here's your storyboard and not a single person hits the mark besides two people, right? And like that communication, I think that's a great testimony of a vendor to be able to not even have those conversations with that vendor, but know how to capture that and still be cohesive with everybody else.
Absolutely.
It's important to do that to make it look like everybody communicated.
Yeah.
And I think with like planners and designers, it makes it easy because
Absolutely.
that's literally what they're doing. But when Veronica told me what your idea was, I'm like, that's actually kind of brilliant because we literally tell the story of the wedding.
Yeah.
So when everything is cohesive, from the stationery to the florals to even the food and the dessert and cakes,
It all matches.
Yeah.
if it's seamless and matches, even the drinks, if there's a signature cocktail that is on theme with the entire story of the wedding, that just makes our job far easier.
Absolutely. And I feel like almost like because a bakery, we always say, I'm the back burner vendor, which is true. Like people, you know, they book their venue first and then their florist or their wedding planner, and they do all these bigger items first. And then they get to the smaller things like cake. I know that sounds like is a smaller aspect of planning the wedding. And then they're like, well, we just want to do something small and like white and just like classic. I'm like, but why? Like, what is your thought process behind that? Because like when you're cutting a cake and you're wearing a white dress, your white cake disappears.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Or you disappear.
And so
Yeah.
do you kind of encourage them to step out of that mold a little bit?
We do. I mean, like you can kind of get a feel for like what your client is and what they're going to want.
Yeah.
And I feel like that you have to know how to gauge that conversation
Yeah, for
from
sure.
based on just their inspo. And we kind of talk about like what other details are in your wedding that are very important to continuously carry through. Like we have a lot of brides who want to incorporate like details from their dress, like whether it's like a floral piping or like acrylics are huge. So we do like the acrylic spacers because that's like on her columns, or like floral pieces.
Yeah.
Making sure that all of those pieces carry through are very important to us, because I feel like you get to the point and then you see those horizontal white striped cakes and you're like, well, there's the 50th one I've seen for the year.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Simply.
So how do you coordinate with like the florist to incorporate your design for the cake, like off the bat, or like what does that look like?
So if the floral design is important to the client, we do. So some people will be like, oh, do you want flowers? And then they'll say yes. And so we talk about placement. Like, are you wanting to see a lot? Are you wanting to see a little? Like, what are your floral arrangements look like just in general? Like, let's capture that same vibe. If it is a florist that we've worked with in the past, I'll typically hop on a call with them and be like, here's my idea. I need to make sure I have a lot of these.
Yeah.
We don't let florists touch our cakes.
I was gonna say you put them in, right? Yeah.
We do that. It's part of the cake itself. Like I've had multiple times florists destroy my cakes.
We've done a wedding, I think it was last year, and we show up to the reception before anybody's there to photograph the room, and it is like the basic of a basic cake, just sitting in the
white.
middle. They didn't even have a topper. So I'm like, is this it? Like, is this it?
That's what we got.
I started taking like stems and greenery, and I was like, I don't think that they'll mind. And I just like started putting it on there because I was like, I feel like something's missing. And there was a coordinator there, and I was like, do they have a topper? And they're like, yeah, but they can't find it. They don't really care. I'm like, it's gotta look better than this. It's gotta look better than this. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Just
you
looks
have
like
to know your
somebody forgot.
client.
Yeah, you have to know your client.
You
have
to know your client to know if that would even be okay.
If it was your cake, I would have never. But like, I think it was like a cake
it would
from
have
like,
looked better than that.
I think it was a cake from like Sam's.
Yeah, I think
or
it was one of
something.
those like
Yeah.
just went somewhere and got a cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think florals, like even if you're getting a plain white cake, florals in itself can transform it because there are so many different placements, styles that will transform the cake and make it look completely different. And that is one really important aspect of our consultation that we do is I just start showing them different photos of cakes that don't even match their style, but I want them to hone in on the placement of it. It can change the whole story of a cake just by it being cascading like your typical 2000s cake, from top to bottom, or something super asymmetrical or funky. It completely makes it out of the box, I think.
I feel like, so I have two thoughts. I feel like one, florals are kind of going a wayside on cakes. And more of a structural design is becoming more popular.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I feel like you see the Midwest, we know, is like so behind.
Yeah.
It's like
always.
With everything. So like I'm super big on following like a lot of bakeries like in New Zealand and Australia and the UK because that's who sets the trends, at least in the bakery world. I don't know how it is anywhere else in the other industries, but I'm very big on following them and bringing that to life here. And I feel like when I start doing that and then when I'm over it and I'm bored, then it finally comes to the Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we finally
been there,
caught
done
on.
that.
I'm like, what's next?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of UK companies that do different like structured pieces that you can add into your cakes, which I really love, like spacers and that like adds in another tier, but it's hollow. So you can add in flowers. So like structural is getting hopefully coming over soon because I'm kind of bored with what we've already been doing that still isn't here yet.
Yeah. I feel like breaking the mold of having just a basic cake. I mean, when you look at like extravagant weddings like that Jose Villa shoots and like these amazing over the top designs, their cake is bigger than them. Like absolutely epic. And it makes a statement.
Absolutely. It should make a statement.
It should.
Well, also there's a million people a lot of these weddings do.
Well, that's
so
true. But like it's always this like extravagant display
I know what you're saying,
and like it's a moment and it deserves to have its own moment.
It should be a moment. Like it's a vendor, so it should be a moment.
And it's very strategically placed in the room, not just shoved up against a wall.
Has its own lighting.
I think it's important that you just don't put the cake on a table. Like it should be a moment in itself. Like yes, if it's on the dance floor, like jazz up your dance floor. Like Kylie and Jeff's wedding was beautiful because it had that pop of black and white with just like a white cake, right? Like that was beautiful because it had lots of different textures. Like if you're going to do a white cake, like at least make it a little bit interesting.
That one was amazing.
With textures and movement and things like that. But I think people also forget about the encompassing the whole venue and where a 4-tiered cake in most people's eyes look substantial. But when you're at Westwind Hills or like Stonehouse of St. Charles or something that has massive ceilings and is super open, your cake gets lost if it's a 4 or 5 tier. Like you have to, I tell my couples all the time, like you're not giant people, but when you're bending over, cutting a little 2-tiered cake, first of all, they're gonna be wondering, why are you bending over and what are you doing? Because I can't see your cake.
Yeah.
And then you just look huge. Like your photos, obviously you know that's all you have left and you're just going to be looking at, man, it did look a little small.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's important to realize how big of a statement it's going to look in your venue itself. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
It's like when you're decorating your house. You need that one like focal piece.
That's why you're supposed to put your curtains above your window, not at your window.
To make the windows look bigger.
Yeah. And just like your ceiling a little bit taller.
Little interior design tip for you.
We have all these things that don't, matter to weddings. But
that's so true. And I feel like, when people walk into the reception, if you're into design and you're into the aesthetic and like you're that type of bride, then definitely pay more attention to the cake, because I feel like we've had weddings where guests walk in and they're in awe by the dessert table or the cake display or whatever the case might be with that, because it's over the top and they remember that, just like the food, just like the florals.
They're gonna remember those things.
They remember them because they had their own moment separated.
My favorite dessert tables
are the ones that are, well, that I can eat off of, for one. But also the ones that look like they're just, everything was like dumped
Like
on
a
the
grazing.
table.
And you guys
grazing
kind of
table?
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love every time,
Yeah,
but it's purposefully done.
Yes.
But it
Yeah.
looks
Placed, yeah.
like it was just buckets just dumped on the table.
And you just have like copious amounts of everything.
What do you guys
Right.
call those?
So we call them like grazing style dessert
Okay.
bar. Yeah, compared to like the individual platters.
Yeah.
I love it because you don't just have a line of people at this one platter trying to get cake pops. You
Yeah.
know, like that, no matter where they're coming from, there's a little bit of everything at
Yes.
that table. And so that and then stuff like you don't know what to choose. But everybody sees all the same stuff, which
Yeah.
I think is
I love
the
that.
most fun.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of everything.
It also makes me want to take more because I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that was
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like you can take more
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's just kind of spread out. Yeah. It
Exactly.
doesn't make you feel as bad. Speaking of, you told me something really funny before we started.
What?
Because
I remember.
Because I mentioned, I was like, I don't even like cake.
Oh yeah, I don't eat cake.
Yeah.
I actually don't eat it at all. Never have.
You've never had cake?
Like we'd have
Like,
it at
you
parties,
just-
like as a
you've
kid,
had
like
it, you
I
just
didn't
don't
even
like it?
eat it. Like it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. So how did you get like into the love of like is it the designed part that you love?
I do. I love
Yeah.
designing like the wedding cakes and just like all because like everything that we do is completely custom. Like a lot of people who are new, they'll come into our shop be like, "Oh, do you have any books?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. We don't have
That was gonna
any
be my next
books."
question,
Like
yeah.
no, everything is super custom. It's your cake, not somebody else's. So
Yeah.
we are tailoring it to you, your needs, and your party. We have people who will take a screenshot of something like that was on our story and be like,
Yeah.
"I want this cake." I'm like, "Okay, but we're gonna make it a little bit more different because we can't
you
recreate
so
this."
you will
Yeah.
not
No,
replicate.
we don't
I love
replicate.
that. I
or
love that.
We just recreate and
I
add
feel like that's
additions.
doing all of your couples a due diligence.
I think so.
like-
I'm like, why would you want somebody else's cake?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that like just get married together, like get it in a line.
Yeah,
I mean,
get in a line.
I think it's so silly. We had just 3 weeks ago, 2 of our couples had the same exact inspo photo for their cake,
Oh, gosh.
and the same flowers, and it was the same weekend. And I'm like,
Wow.
they should have just booked a venue and split the costs. And I'm sure
Yeah.
everything else is the same.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me. Like everybody they like the same stuff. Like
Yeah.
we like the same coffee or things like that. But we all have our own flavors and spins and how you want it. And like everything else, I'm sure in your wedding has something that is important to you or at least represents you. So
Yeah.
it should carry through everything. Like don't leave the short end of the stick for the cake.
Right. So do you
doesn't
have
deserve
like
that.
questions and things that you prompt to kind of like get that inspo out of them?
Yeah, so we obviously look at their Instagram, their Pinterest board, and we ask like for their colors. We ask who their vendors are because like that in itself, like being pretty well known in the St. Louis industry, like you also really know wedding vendors and their styles and
Yeah.
and their inputs and everything. So I think it's also important to know your vendors and how they work because you want to stay within that same style.
I guess that's actually a really good point. Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
you're
but,
fine.
Yeah, probably I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when you're knowing which photographer you're gonna work
Yeah.
with, you're like, I know how this photographer is
Yeah.
going to capture this. And it
Absolutely.
probably impacts the way that you do certain things.
Even just like with color, like, there are
Yes.
so many photographers who shoot so bright. Like I've done shoots and like, well, that cake was yellow and now it's white. And it's like, how do you,
Yeah.
also like you have to be very careful when you translate that to your client too. Like you're not talking about it, just like, so like we're going to do this a little bit brighter because your
I
last
know
sync
how it's
photos,
gonna-
I know
yeah.
that it really won't be as vibrant as you want. And that is really important to know how
Yeah.
it is. We ask a lot of whys in our consults, like why they like things and what draws them and like
Yeah.
why. Because when I do sketches, I know why they don't like that. And I know what also hangs on to that part of that design. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
if you don't like really full florals, like I'm also going to be more dainty in the design of like piping and more airy. And I also send them like not like a rebuttal Pinterest board, but I'm like, okay, after reviewing everything, now let me show you Cake House revamping your Pinterest board. So I send them their own Pinterest board of cakes and desserts because we also know like keywords to find certain. Because they'll just look up like wedding cake.
Yeah.
And then
White
you're gonna
wedding
get a bunch
cake.
of white wedding cakes.
White and gold wedding cake, you
Yeah.
know, blush and navy, like any colors can be changed. Like
Yeah.
I can show you like a purple and teal cake. I'll be like, okay, now we're going to tailor this to your colors, but the style or the designs you probably would have never seen because you wouldn't have searched for that.
Are you willing to share what those are? Or is that like proprietary.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like how you search maybe for like future brides to be like, oh, maybe I should be looking for like these keywords when I'm on Pinterest.
It's kind of hard because obviously like I search like for more of like technical words when it comes to cake decorating.
Yeah.
When I search in like Instagram, like I spend probably 3 hours a week literally scrolling on my For You page for saving Instagram
Is it just
inspo.
all cake?
It's terrible. Like it's so like Nick will be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just have to have my weekly like saving of all my
Oh
cakes
my gosh,
that I
so
like."
funny, yeah.
Because that's the only way to find new things. So we like keywords that I use a lot. I don't know what to tell you about that because I don't really have anything. I think it just it really works in like people search boho and like you have like a million things on boho.
That's like
but,
so broad.
It is so broad. Like
Yeah.
fine tuning more of just like a boho. Like, are you more of just like rust? Like, is this what we're looking for? Just like rust? Like, is that what you just mean? Because I don't think a lot of people know what those broad words really mean when it comes to like, is it boho or is it more Moroccan? You know, like that is so different. Or are we talking like blush and gold, or are we doing more of like the O'Hara roses that are like more like taupe? Like even just turning one color into something different will get you different results.
Yeah.
We literally just talked about that. We're talking about like the whole light and airy, dark and moody. Mm-hmm. How
like there's more words.
It's way more than
It's
just
way more than just those
that.
two categories.
Like they might mean dark and moody, or they might mean like editorial, and
Exactly.
they don't know the difference.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like describing, like, yeah, we want a 4-layer cake. I'm like, you mean a 4-tiered cake? Because those are also very different.
Very different thing.
Yeah.
think
The
it's-
layers are on the inside.
Exactly.
I wanted to touch back on what you had just said a minute ago. I see like planning and designing a wedding as basically creating a brand.
Yeah.
If you think about it as you're trying to create a brand, every single thing you do with that brand, including like the brand pillars, the colors, the design, there needs to be a why for every single thing you do.
Absolutely.
And if you think about it that way, when you're planning your wedding, which designers are great at this,
They are.
if you hire a designer, which you should.
Yes,
If
definitely.
if it's in the budget, you should. But that way things don't get missed.
Yeah, like
'Cause
those small details.
When you
can
walk
make
into a
huge
business,
impacts.
everything from walking up to the front door, walking into the lobby,
Yeah.
to how you're greeted, all of that is part of their branding.
And the experience.
Yeah. the
And
experience,
that's
yeah.
the experience is just as much part of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree to that. I think cohesiveness shouldn't be missed in an event like that. Like you're spending all this money and your photographs are going to be all that's left, and like you're going to notice those little details that get dropped in your photos because it's a zoomed in portion of your whole event.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the weddings that like Jose does, I mean, those are like, it tells a huge story.
Yeah.
Nothing
And
gets missed on those
nothing's
And it
weddings.
should
missed.
represent you as people.
Yeah.
Like your guests don't have to like it. They don't because they're there for you. I tell people that all the time. And I kind of always make a joke about it. I'm like, well, if they don't like it, dessert's usually served at the end of the night, so they can leave. You know?
They can go.
Like, they don't have to stay.
Yeah.
That or they're drunk enough to not remember what the dessert tastes like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
They're going to be happy that it's sugar regardless.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people always ask, like, we find it a lot with moms, like, what do other people do? And I wish that I could just, like, wring people's necks when I
doesn't
hear that.
matter.
I'm like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't. Like, this is your wedding and you're telling your story. I can tell you what is popular. And then we kind of always, like, change the context to that. Like what's really common is like people always ask dessert bar or cake or both. My answer is always both, with doing like a partial like real partial faux cake just like for the aesthetic and grand moment, but then the fun stuff of a dessert bar, because I feel like cake is served at every event.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, cake isn't like people will take it, some people won't, you know,
Right.
it just, but if you have the aesthetic, because that's what people like, the wow factor of a cake, and then you have the fun stuff at the table, that's
Yeah.
where you capture both.
Yeah.
Like you best of both worlds. Moms get their cake cutting photo and their one slice of cake that they've been wanting.
Yes.
And then everybody else gets all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Because
I
you
love
two
that.
don't like cake, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that don't like cake.
Absolutely.
But we all love dessert.
Everybody can find something.
Yeah. Have you ever done a cheesecake?
Yeah.
Wedding cake?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love cheesecake.
I do love cheesecake. Yeah,
I think
that's my vibe.
I'm just like I'm a savory gal.
Just
I
like
savory
more
sweets.
decadent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Probably not like savory because it's like salty and like
Yeah.
spices,
Yeah.
but more decadent.
Yeah, sorry.
I get that.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I just had a conversation though with somebody like that. They were trying like, oh, it's really savory. I'm like, I don't think that's the word
That's
you want to
not
be
the right
using.
word.
Yeah, that's
Keep using that word. I don't
That's
think
like
it.
steak.
Yeah, that is like steak, which I love steak.
Me too.
That's so funny. So what are some of like the trends that you're seeing from like the UK and all those places that you're seeing right now that you're like, I love this and we need it more here in the Midwest?
So we do a couple cakes that I did in Paris. We're like with tulle and like what we call
Ooh.
like rice paper sales. So like, you know, like a Chinese restaurant and you get like those weird egg rolls that are clear.
Yeah.
So that's made out of rice paper. So we like,
Is that what was on Kylie's?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So hers is like partial fondant and partial
Okay.
rice paper, but
Yeah.
it really gives a lot of movement to a cake.
Yes.
And you can dye it colors. You can add like a shimmer to it. And it, like I said, it creates a lot of movement. Even if you're going to just do like a white cake, it creates a different aesthetic where you have like florals that will sometimes like follow the sales, which is really
I've
neat.
seen that before.
But
yeah.
I like love like very whimsical and just weird things. Like
Yeah.
it's just different, you know? And I feel like that's our niche. Like people come to us and they want like their classic horizontal white striped cakes. And I'm like, why did you come to us? Like something clearly attracted you to us. What was it?
Did
'Cause
you see our Instagram page?
yeah, I'm just like, it's weird and wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love rice paper sales. Like that's my favorite. And back, like I don't even know what year or time of life this would be, but everything was always so, people love like, oh, that's really edible. Like, oh, you can eat this. Like I see a lot more that we're now adding things that are not edible onto cakes.
Yeah.
Just because it's opening up so many more doors.
Yeah.
You know, because you can add, especially if you're going to do a faux cake, you can literally add whatever you want
Seriously,
to that
yeah.
cake, and it doesn't have to be edible.
Right.
So lots of, I said like movement to like abstract art. Like people are really turning cake just like into art pieces as a whole new, forget like a nice sculpture. Like the
love that.
cake is the art
Yes.
piece in,
That's
in
like
the
when
wedding.
my parents got married. Like they had,
Yeah.
if I remember right, it was like this, their main piece here, and there was pillars, and there was a piece
yeah.
here, and then there were stairs, and there was another piece here.
It's like an attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a whole like scene that was on your parents'
Right, and
cake.
then it was when you still put the little figurines on top,
Oh, yeah.
and the
Yeah.
arbor, the
But
fake arbor.
I do remember looking
But
through
they're
their
like stairs.
album. There were like stairs like that
Oh,
were like
yeah.
winding down the cake.
My
Like
parents
they're so
had
tiny.
to
my
another
parents had
layer.
like an 8-foot table, and their whole cake was just all of it, like
Oh
pillars and stairs. And I don't think they had a fountain. I don't really remember. It was atrocious, regardless. But it was just like so much greenery.
Oh my gosh.
But like it was more than just your white cake,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just something that people will remember. And I think that's important. Like you're
Yeah.
spending money, so like make an impact, make a punch in somebody's face.
Yeah.
Make them be like, all right, now I have to do better at my wedding. Like, I know that sounds like silly,
Somebody
but like
do an 80s style cake, please.
in 80s, I don't even
That was
what
what
would
that
that
was.
look
does
like?
that
That was what
mean?
that is.
Oh,
Oh,
That
like
was
the
that like
vintage?
that late 70s, early 80s was like
With the
that
pillars?
was yeah.
yeah.
it's
I
not
feel
for
like
me. It won't be
I've
me.
I've seen some modern pillars though that
Okay.
are like the clear like acrylics.
Oh, yes.
I've seen those look really pretty.
Those could be really cool.
Yeah.
We do like they almost just look like a tier of a cake, but they're acrylic, like round circles. Like people
Yeah.
will fill them with like flowers or just
I've
leave
seen
them
that.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
really neat. That weird like vintage piping has a chokehold on like all of these like millennials or Gen Z people though right now.
What does that look like?
So it's
can't
like all
picture
of, like
it.
those shell borders, like top, bottom, like there's swags, there's like ruffles, but they're doing it like all one solid color. So whether it's like green or like hot pink,
Okay.
and like they're doing them on heart cakes. Like if you saw my
Oh,
feed,
I know what
they're
you're talking about.
everywhere.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So that is coming back really, really hard right now.
Really?
We probably do like 3 to 4 a week. And just like usually
Jeez.
they're a heart, sometimes they're round. We even just did a cake class teaching it, and it was like a sold out class.
You're
So it
like,
was so
why am I
funny.
teaching
I'm like,
this?
what?
I hate this, but I need to lean into it, so we're gonna teach it.
Absolutely. Like I
Yeah.
learned this at
Good
cake
business
decorating
move.
class when I was like 13 at Michael's. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we're back. I guess it was good that I learned how to do that.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was weird. So that is coming back. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that it's gonna go out soon. But you know, all good. We do a lot of like standing flowers, which is kind of like cool. Like using the
Yes.
whole stem. Like I love that instead of just like cutting your
I do
flower
too.
off at the end. Like
So whimsical.
reflexing the roses and like using the whole stem creates even more height
Mm-hmm.
and movement. Like we did a lot of that in Paris, which was really neat.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like
So
dying to
good.
see those
Yeah, I'll have
photos.
to show you photos. They're
Yeah.
so good.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say, what was my question?
I don't know. You didn't say it.
You, What was my question?
Okay, I have a question though. Are you
Yeah.
ready for this?
Yes.
So, wedding venue, you being a photographer,
Yeah.
and having the power to Photoshop, we would always have weddings at the Carmel Room, right? And so you're familiar, right? Those beautiful gold frames.
Yeah.
There was a thermostat under the middle frame.
Okay.
And that's where they would always put the dessert bar. Do you know how many photos I get back and nobody would Photoshop out that thermostat? I'm just like, you're lying to me right now that you did not see that.
You're lying.
That's even more simple than the Sophia Richie picture you don't like.
Whole box.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, you can Photoshop that out, right? Like, I'm not like imagining that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
you
I
can.
would.
I just like sometimes like,
You
well, maybe
should.
it's really not a thing. Like, maybe I'm overreacting. But like,
Oh my gosh.
the amount of photos, like gorgeous dessert bars,
Yes.
and then I would just see that stupid thermostat.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, some of those things you can't move, but like, you
I
can
think
get rid of
that-
it.
You can definitely get rid of it,
You can
right?
get rid of it.
I feel like this is like a hot take, but I'm just going to say it. For any photographers that are listening, when you are taking photos of a space or a wedding day in general, and you're photographing something that you know that a vendor did, do your due diligence to make sure that you're capturing those moments properly, because when you should be giving the gallery to all of the vendors, but when you take the extra time I'm not saying do it on every photo, take the ones that you overly edited out of the gallery and email them to the vendors, like taking out a thermostat and things like that. That is how you make good connections with other vendors.
Absolutely.
And that is
Like-
how you get recommendations.
Or like we've done this 100 times, probably more. If the cake is in a spot that's just doesn't look good, you can't really move it.
Move it just for a photo.
We'll literally, one of us will get behind, lift the tablecloth
Lift the
up over
tablecloth
the
up.
just to give it a nice
Such-
clean background.
Yeah.
Instead of having the DJ booth or
Yes.
a wall that has zero place in the wedding theme.
Like when
Yeah.
it's on the dance floor and like you just see the DJ behind or like the band and like you just see all these wires and a big speaker. I'm like, why? I'm gonna get terrible photos. Like
Yeah.
it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's not
and
hard.
you guys have to, like, each vendor has to represent their work some way.
Yeah.
And that's going to be through photo. So I feel like there is a lot of responsibility for us to make sure that we're capturing it in a certain way. That's
not
good
just
for
the
you to show
clients.
your clients as well.
Because like we're also going to be posting those photos and
Yeah.
you're naturally going to be tagged in it. So like even if you don't feel like the need to do it for that vendor, do it for yourself because
Exactly.
they're going to post it regardless because if it's a good photo, they'll post it and represent you.
Yeah.
So
And I will say there's nothing wrong with capturing how it is, but if you're looking to go from your current level to the luxury market,
Absolutely.
attention to detail is how you get there.
Yeah.
And attention to detail on those little things and getting rid of those things.
Yeah.
Larev has you know who Larev is?
I don't know if I do.
They're a videographer. They did
Okay.
Joe Biden's granddaughter's wedding.
Oh,
and
all right.
They're like it. Like
Okay,
you don't
cool.
get higher than them.
that's awesome.
They had a wedding with, was it at Lake Como?
I think so, yeah.
There was a huge boat walking that just
Walking.
It
It
was
was
walking.
walking.
It was
The boat
walking.
was just
Boat was just
walking on
walking.
by.
It was floating across in the background while the bride's walking down the aisle, and they have the drone up. So he went in and
Like, from the back,
completely
they're, like,
removed
Yeah.
the boat from that
That's
shot.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, if you can
mean,
remove a boat
you
from a
can
video
you
shot,
can remove a
You can
thermostat.
remove a thermostat
Amen.
from a picture.
Amen.
We did a shoot and the cake was on the grand piano and this shoot was going to be published. So the photographer sends the whole gallery, hey guys, let me know if you need anything, love it, whatever. So I'm looking for my cake. When I tell you that there was a fly on my cake as big as this microphone,
Ooh.
I'm not lying. And I said, everything looks great except for the fact there's a fly on my cake. It'd be great if you could remove it before it gets published.
Oh, no. Did they?
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
But I'm just like, how did you not see that?
How did you not see
What if
that?
it got printed?
And if
way?
it got printed? A fly. I'm not lying. Like a horse fly.
I mean, also, that's
no.
just nasty.
On like a nude cake. So like it's not like it was like hot pink
It's
and it could have
sticking
been
out.
something else. Like it was
And
like
that doesn't look. That'll look bad on the venue too.
it'll just look
It
bad
just
on
looks bad on
everybody.
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 Yeah.
It's not
And
good.
it's, I mean, you can't really control what
no.
a fly does, but I mean, it's still somebody's gonna see a fly on a cake, and
Oh, gosh.
it's just gonna be
that's
negative.
terrible.
that attention to detail, man.
Oh, my gosh.
And I feel like though, is it not just like when photographers send it off like to other like editing people? Like is that what's happening? Like it just doesn't get missed? Like are they not like culling these like correct? Like what is
Girl,
going on?
I don't
I
know.
think it's all of the above.
I
Attention to
don't
detail.
know.
I think that's all it
can't
is.
speak for them. I mean, for me, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but like those things don't go unmissed by me. Like,
she's removed cars from backgrounds of bridal party shots because there's no
Yeah.
other angle.
I mean,
and
I'm like very realistic. Like when it comes to like exit signs in like a room,
So silly.
I probably take maybe 100 photos of the room. it would take me so long to remove every exit sign on every photo, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do them on the images that I know are either going to be published, or like those are the ones that I know all the vendors will want to share on social media. Yeah. And those are the ones that I extract and send out separately too.
Or like the ones a couple is more likely to print.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That makes sense.
So
Their insurance or something like that.
I pick those like handful and remove those things. But if it was something like a cake, I mean, I'll be really honest. Like I maybe take, I don't know, 25 photos of the cake of all different angles, and that's just like of the cake by itself. And then like, you know, probably another 20 to 30 like when they're cutting the cake.
Yeah.
But if I knew that there was a fly on there and they're cutting the cake, I would remove it from every single one because that's a moment.
I will show you the photo though too.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
so funny. I can't wait for you to see it.
That's crazy.
So just like weird things like that. I'm just like, come on guys. I know you didn't see it. And like, if it's not your own work, like people don't see it all the time. But like obviously when I'm looking at my work in a photo, I'm looking at everything. Like, oh, that flower fell and probably nobody noticed it or something like that. But dang, a fly. That was rough.
That is rough. So you mentioned that you did Michael's, like classes at Michael's.
Yeah.
Did you like tell me just a quick? We probably should have started with this question, but that's okay.
That's okay.
If you've been listening this long, good, and you'll hear Lindsay's history. But tell us like how you kind of got started with like your cake design like business.
Okay, so backstory, I've always wanted to do medical field, like literally since I was young. Like I told everybody, I went back and forth from like doctor to nurse and blah, blah, all this. So I was 13 and volleyball season was over and my mom was like, okay, you're getting annoying. We got to do something to get you out of the house. I'm signing you up for cake decorating classes at Michael's. Yeah. So I did not want to do that because in my head I was like, it's just going to be a bunch of old people, you know, decorating cakes. And indeed it was. So that, and like at the time, probably like a lady that was like 30 years old who I'm sure was old to me. So there was 4 courses. And so I just did them. And that's literally it. That's all I've done.
Okay.
As far as experience and training goes, was cake decorating classes. And so I just did it out of my house, like for family and friends. And for 4 years out of my house, backstory, like my dad is an executive chef. So like, and my mom was a catering manager and wedding planner. So like, I couldn't escape it as much as I wanted to get out of this industry.
Like, it's inevitable.
It just kept dragging me down. So I did that.
See, they sent you to the cake class because mom's trying to build a dynasty. That's what it is.
So funny.
Yeah, they're like, she's not escaping this.
That's so funny.
So I did that. I did it out of my house for like 4 years. And then I was in high school and needed a job. So I applied at a bakery and I worked at this bakery for 4.5 years. 2 years into working at this bakery, the owners were they also had other jobs. So they're like, this really isn't exactly what we want. We're going to sell. So me being in high school, I still needed a job. So I'm like, well, I'm still going to stay on board until somebody kicks me out. So they sold it to 2 ladies that weren't this wasn't out their background. They just thought it'd be really fun to own a bakery. Yeah. So that was interesting. And so not to, like you said, toot your own horn, but I carried the team for another 2.5 years and I did all the cakes. Like definitely I was relied on for everything. Yeah. And kind of some, personal things kind of came up to the fact I'm like, I'm not sure I should be here anymore. But then I had also dropped out of college because I didn't really like studying. Yeah. I was like A student, 4.0 my whole life, but I didn't try. Yeah. But then in college I had to try and I'm like, don't like this. Yeah. So
Same.
I was like, okay, gotta do something else. So one of the owners had approached me and asking if I would buy her out. And I'm like, well, maybe, okay. And at the point, I had already quit college. I didn't tell them. So I asked my parents, and I'm like, should we do this? Like, well, we're not just buying one out. Like, we're going to buy all of them out. Like, we're not doing this with 2 people. So we wrote them an offer letter. My parents were like, this is what you want to do? We'll just see how it goes. So we wrote them an offer letter. They denied it because the other owner wasn't too happy with that. So I'm like, okay, well, we kind of got to the conclusion that this is what I wanted to do. So as that kind of went on, I just kind of started my LLC and just did all of back end legal stuff. So they obviously turned it down again. My parents were like, well, if you want to do this on your own, you may as well just
do your own,
do it.
start your own. So we started looking for spots. I quit my job in April of 2016 and we opened in September of 2016.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
That's cool.
yeah, so we were in 1,300 square feet, and now we're in almost 2,500 square
my
feet.
gosh.
So
That's
big
awesome.
growth, and it's scary. And I
Yeah.
feel like now we're starting all over again as far
Yeah.
as like groundwork, because now it's like level 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Level up.
Do it again.
Level up.
Yep.
Level
So
up. That's awesome.
That's where we're at.
How old are you?
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were a lot younger for some reason.
No, just 28.
Yeah.
That's
Not
it.
that you're
I'm
old.
an old
You're
man in
not.
here.
You're younger than me, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Wait, how old are you?
We're not going to say that on the air.
All right. Oh, wait. Okay. So Nick is like 30. So are you 30?
I'm 30.
Okay.
no,
30 something.
He's
I'm 30 something. We'll just
Perfect.
leave it there.
you're 35.
I'm 35.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I would never have guessed
I
that.
have good genes.
Nice.
I don't have a good skincare regimen.
No, he does not.
I just have good genes.
He
Well, that's
needs-
great.
I'm trying to get him on a good skincare regimen.
I get
He's-
hounded all
It's
the time.
it's hard.
He doesn't listen to me.
I have a lot of skin. I also I'm not a great girl. Like you're like get camera ready. I'm like no, this is literally as good as it gets. Like my
Some
eyebrows
days-
are tattooed on, and like that's all you
Some
get.
days I'm like, this is as good as it's getting.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
this is what we got.
I've
This is
That's
we're
what we
working
do.
with.
I mean, if we don't have a guest, you only see the table up. I'm wearing sweatpants.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Sometimes not shoes.
this is leftover mascara from the wedding show yesterday. So like this is it.
Yeah.
I didn't even re-up it for that.
I used to get eyelash extensions, and
I did too.
I miss them with
Okay,
all
but
of
did
my
they
heart.
destroy your eyelashes? Like they
No.
destroyed mine?
No.
I was so mad.
You went to the wrong person then.
I had them for like 6 months solid.
Really?
And she was like, I took them off, and like I got in my car, and I was literally bald. I'm like, oh my god, my eyelashes are gone.
Oh, you went to the wrong.
And
girl.
she's like, oh, just put castor oil on them, and they'll grow back. Which they did.
Okay.
Like they look nice.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
they look great.
what a scam. I
Oh.
paid all this money, and now my eyelashes are gone.
Well, I know you probably have trauma, but I can give you my girl. She's really good. And I mean, I had them for like years at a time.
Really?
And I've had them out for 4 months.
Okay.
And look at my eyelashes.
They don't
Yeah, it's
like
been a while
nubs like
since
mine
I've
did.
had
Let me tell
never-
you. They were literally so short. I was
And
like, there's
stubby.
no way that these are going to grow back. I was not convinced.
Oh, I would be terrified.
was-
I've never once had an issue ever. She's
Well,
amazing.
Good to know.
They're not
Her
supposed
name's-
to wreck your eyelashes, though.
Her name's Lashes by Lavon. She's literally amazing.
Nice.
And I will get them again, but I was like, let's like have like a little break for the
Yeah.
summer. But going back to what we were talking about, I loved them
Which was what?
because I didn't have to do anything. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
I
Foundation Hill. I got my eyelashes.
I
don't
rub
even-
my eyes too much though that like it would just like rub right off like mascara.
Yeah,
Too much.
you do kind of have to like get acclimated to like not rubbing your eye. I do love that I can just like freaking get in there.
Yeah. I'm just like
Except
Yeah.
like
Like
in the morning, I'll be
allergy
like,
season.
that's $20. That's $20.
laying on your bed
That's
or your pillow.
$20. That's $20.
yeah. Oh
Yep,
my
I remember
gosh.
that. Eyebrows are my big thing. 'Cause, like Nick would be like, "All right, are you done drawing on your eyebrows again?" Like he'd be like, "I'm so over this." So he's like, "You're." I would always talk about my friends. She did eyebrows.
Yeah.
And so he gifted me that one year for my birthday, and
Nice.
so now I
Are
don't
they
do anything.
microbladed?
No, so it's my powdering, which is like tattoos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which
They look
lasts
good.
longer. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you,
look
thank
really
you.
good.
She's great. Her name's Ashley.
Nice.
Go see her.
I have blonde eyelashes, so I just do like a little gel and I'm good.
There you
Alex
go.
is like,
I have no
I'm
idea
just
what we're
here.
talking
Well,
about.
your eyebrows look nice, and your
Oh,
eyelashes.
thank the Lord, Veronica.
wow.
They look good.
I mean, they could use a little help. He won't let me help him.
Do you ever get a unibrow? Do you wax your unibrow?
He does
I
pluck.
just rip them out of my face when I show
He
up.
does pluck, but he won't let me pluck them.
Nick does that. He just like
Just-
I'm just like, how are you just like ripping it out?
I mean, I
But
keep
see,
up
if
on
she
mine,
tries to
but
pluck my face, it hurts like hell. I can do it myself when it's fine. I can tolerate
you're
when
a
I
baby.
do it. I don't understand
because
it.
you're a baby. You're a baby. Anyway.
Hey, leave
guys
me
have a
alone.
sensitive face. We
Leave
get
me
it. It's
alone.
fine.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. Any like advice that you want to give to like future brides that are looking for inspo for their cake or wanting to break the mold for their cake? Is that
Their cake
Yeah.
mold. Cake
Break
mold.
the cake mold. No,
We're gonna
No
call
pun
this
intended.
episode "Break the Cake Mold."
love it. Break the cake.
I love that.
Break the cake mold.
Yes,
That's perfect.
I love that.
I would be like set your intentions like openly and
Yeah.
almost be like, this is in my head, this is what I originally want, right? Like, what are the possibilities?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of bakeries or cake designers, whatever, like they don't give that openness and those possibilities to their clients because
everybody gets lazy. Sometimes you just want something easy.
Yeah.
But easiness doesn't bring you more business in the long end, right? Like it's just every other cake that everybody's seen. Like, okay, this is what you want, but this is also all these possibilities that we can do because everybody's visual. Like that's why we do styled shoots, because we finally want to do things that people aren't asking for because they don't know they exist.
Exactly.
So we use a lot of our shoot photos for inspiration for our clients because it's not out there. It's not on Pinterest yet, you know? Giving your clients all the possibilities before they actually make a decision, I feel like is very important because everybody gets lazy. Me too. Like I would love to just do naked cakes and that's literally nothing for me, but also those are boring as heck.
Yeah. And you want to challenge yourself too.
Yeah. I mean, like, what are you capable of? Like tomorrow we're doing.
What are you capable of?
That's right. What are you capable of?
Oh my
What are you
gosh.
capable
Alex
of?
coming in with the puns. What were you
So
going to say?
good. so good. I don't know. Just like, I think possibilities, like making sure you lay out everything because this is not their specialty. They don't have an Instagram feed of all the cakes out there in the world.
Which is why you're going to a professional.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, who has spent their hours for research. Like that's also what you're paying for. Like you're not just paying for the time that it took me to learn this or the time that it's taken me to make it, but also like all the hours that you don't see that I'm researching what's out there for you.
Most
That's
other
important.
companies, that's called R&D, and you're
research
paying
and
for that
development.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We are not exempt to that.
Well, you're paying for my hours of Instagram scrolling that will benefit your wedding.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
We do it all the time. What is it?
Who are some of your favorite photographers like to follow that are
I'm
like
like, oh, this
not
is just research and development. I'm just scrolling.
Research and development.
yeah, just scrolling.
What was your question?
Who are your favorite like photographers like that you follow that like you really love to see their style, like that are inspirations to
I know
you?
your
Well,
answer,
Jose
number
Villa
one.
is like
Okay.
number one.
Okay.
As far as video goes, LaRev is
LaRev
one.
is
They
like-
just
Okay.
so we subscribe to them on Instagram.
Awesome.
So we get like little
Their-
like extras from them. So we got to see their most recent film before it's
cool.
released,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
and then ask questions about it. So we put the link up on our TV screen, and it's an 8-minute film. We watched it for an hour and picked it apart and just
That is so cool.
Yeah.
it's such a good
I've been
film.
like
watched
trying
it,
to
like,
figure
4
out like
times.
if I want to do like a subscribe thing yet, but also like
You
what would I
should.
do on it? I don't
So
know.
like
Yeah.
they do like educational stuff here and there, which I
Okay.
think is great. I mean, they're the best of the best. I would love to learn more from them even. But they do that. They do like exclusive Q&As.
Okay.
And then they do referrals.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like
how
if
cool.
it's someone that's like like they can't book them, they're out of budget or whatever, they'll post like a couple small details and
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so Jose Villa is like number one for me.
Yeah.
And then, do you know who Teresa Kelly is?
I love her.
She's local,
I'm
isn't she?
obsessed.
She
lives
is,
right
but
by our
she's
shop.
not.
Oh yeah.
She is, but she's not. I don't think she does like hardly any weddings
No,
in St. Louis.
she helped me find my future wedding venue. Yeah.
Did she? I haven't met her in person.
She's
I've
so fun.
chatted with her like a dozen times. We need to get coffee.
Love her.
But she is so talented.
Oh my God.
I love her. She's so great.
I am like a creep. Like her stories. Like I will respond to everything. I'm like, okay, all right, back off, chill
Yeah.
out. So
but I
good.
really like. I honestly don't, and we've talked about this before. I honestly don't follow a lot of like local photographers.
Yeah, people that are not here.
I'm friends with them. Like I think
Yeah.
everybody is like so great and so nice, but I don't follow them on Instagram. Like I literally don't even follow them on Instagram. Just because I don't want to.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I don't want to like start comparing myself to them. And when I get on Instagram, I get on there with a different mentality, I think, than
Yeah.
some people. I don't get on there just to scroll. I do that for TikTok. But
that's where our TikTok account
I
hasn't
get
done
on
a whole lot.
I get on Instagram to be inspired.
Yes,
So
same.
I follow a lot of photographers from all over the country.
Yeah.
Teresa Kelly is one of those that I just follow because
She's like local, but not because she doesn't really do anything here.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
does, but
Yeah.
yeah, she lives really close to our bakery. So
does she?
yeah,
She's-
just meet her out there.
I should. She's so awesome. So yeah, those are probably like my top two that I can think off of my head. I would have to open my phone.
And be like, who am I following?
Yeah. But and then LaRev for video is like
Yeah,
So
and
good.
White and
amazing.
Reverie is
White
really
and
good.
Reverie.
They don't. They do like 4 or 5 a year now, so they
Oh
don't
my
really do a
gosh.
lot. They're like kind of at that stage of their career. They're kind of like branching out. They do a lot of education. They do. Kaylin is doing a lot of outside stuff
Okay.
with tech and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah.
I know. I use it for inspiration too. That's
Yeah.
where I find everything
Yeah.
to
I
bring
love
to the
it.
people.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Where
for
can people
coming
find you?
on. Yeah.
Like my social medias?
Yes.
Oh, just Cake House Design.
Okay.
Nothing fancy.
On
Cake House
Instagram?
Design. Instagram, Facebook. You can find us on TikTok, but it's kind of lame because I have not put my heart into that. But
Yeah, me
you know,
either.
it's
Yeah.
just there. Or you can come to our store. So
Yes.
there's that
If
too.
you're local,
Yes.
she does have a store.
If you're local
in-
to St. Louis.
Is it Arnold?
So it's technically just St. Louis, but we're at the border of like Arnold and like Oakville. I don't know. We're
Okay.
actually unincorporated, so that's even weirder.
So like 141, 55 area.
55. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
What
like
are
that.
do you have walk-in hours?
Yeah. So we're open Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
so
walk in.
9 to 4. Come
Awesome.
see us.
Love it. Thank you so much
You're
for coming
welcome.
on.
Thanks
This was
for
so
having
fun.
me.
Yay. Awesome, guys. Well, that's all we got for today. And eat more cake.
Eat
Bye.
cake.
Or ice cream. That's good too.
Bye.